Hello, welcome to this third video about photosynthesis, which explains the dark reactions or the light-independent reactions of photosynthesis, which is basically the Calvin cycle. So, let's have a look what happens. Remember from the light reactions that ATP and NADPH are produced in the light reactions, okay? And this is what fuels the light-independent reactions. So in the light-independent reactions or the Calvin cycle, we use carbon dioxide together with ATP and NADPH to produce a very simple sugar, which we call G3P or glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. This glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will make a glucose in a further step. So let me write it down. Glucose, we basically need 2 molecules of G3P to make 1 molecule of glucose. Okay? And this happens in the Calvin cycle. The Calvin cycle has 3 big steps. The first step is the carbon fixation. It's the carbon that is fixed is the CO2. So the carbon fixation is in fact using CO2 in order to make glucose. So it's capturing the CO2. Then we have the synthesis of G3P or glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate in the second step. And then the third step is all about the regeneration of ribulose biphosphate, which we also call RUBP. So this is the slide that summarizes it all. So let's review quickly what the light reactions do. Remember, we have water, H2O, together with sunlight, goes into the light reactions and it produces oxygen, it produces ATP, and it produces NADPH. These last two things, ATP and NADPH, are very important because they fuel the Calvin cycle. That's the light-independent reaction. We need these energy molecules in order to produce glucose or sugar. Here you can see the chemical formula of glucose. But it doesn't work alone. We also need to invest CO2. This CO2 is absorbed through the stomata in the leaves, and the CO2 is used to produce glucose. So thanks to the Calvin cycle, the CO2 is incorporated into sugar molecules. Okay, this is in fact the essence of photosynthesis, how photosynthesis works and how carbon dioxide is captured into sugar molecules thanks to photosynthesis. So how does this happen? Let's have a look into detail. Like we have seen in previous slide, there is 3 steps, 3 main steps, but here we're going to see it in 5 steps. So the first step is the carbon fixation. The carbon fixation is a combination of carbon dioxide with another molecule which we call ribulose bisphosphate. But let's first have a look at carbon dioxide. In order to start the Calvin cycle, we need carbon dioxide, and we have it here. We need 3 molecules of carbon dioxide. So this gives us a total of 3 carbons in total if we look at atoms. Okay? These 3 carbon atoms will be combined with a molecule that I will circle here. This molecule is RUBP or ribulose bisphosphate, and as you can see, we need 3 of them. Ribulose bisphosphate is a molecule with 5 carbons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 times 5 is 15. So here I have 15 carbon atoms. Okay, so 15 plus 3 is 18. Okay, we can all count. 15 plus 3 carbons is a total of 18 carbons. Let's have a look. This carbon dioxide and ribulose bisphosphate is combining into a new molecule which we call PGA, which is phosphoglyceric acid. Let's have a look into detail to this molecule. Here you see we produce, thanks to the carbon dioxide and the ribulose bisphosphate, 6 molecules of phosphoglyceric acid, And as you can see, the phosphoglyceric acid has 3 carbon atoms. 1, 2, 3. So 6 times 3 is 18. So it's true. 15 and 3 is 18. We didn't lose any carbon atoms. In the next step, we have to invest energy because we're going to make sugar out of PGA. So PGA has to be converted into the building block of sugar. The building block of sugar in the Calvin cycle is G3P, or glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Okay, we still have 18 carbons here because I produce 6 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, 1, 2, 3. 6 times 3, I still have 18 carbons. 18 carbons. Okay, but it's a chemical alteration of a molecule. To go from PGA to G3P, I need to invest energy. The amount of energy I need to invest to convert this molecule is 6 ATPs and 6 NADPH. Okay, so remember here we have now produced 6 molecules of G3P, and something special happens in the next step. Okay, because here, like you can see in the Calvin cycle, we have a Y split. Okay, so one molecule of G3P, this one, is leaving the Calvin cycle. Only one molecule of G3P, one, is leaving the Calvin cycle. I tell you in a second what happens with that molecule. So one is leaving, so I stay with 5 molecules of G3P. Okay, 5 times 3 carbons is 15. So here in this stage I have 15. Okay, again 15. So G3P is now 5 molecules of a 3 carbon molecule is recycled in the last step of the Calvin cycle. It's recycled to the first molecule we started with, ribulose bisphosphate. So I go from 5 molecules of a 3 carbon molecule to 3 molecules of a 5 carbon molecule. So the amount of carbon stays the same, but I go from a simple molecule to a more complex one. So this one is more complex. Okay, I put a C, it's more complex. So in order to make from a simple molecule a more complex molecule, I have to invest another 3 ATPs, because that's how life works. In order to make from simple things more complex things, we have to invest energy, and this energy comes from ATP, and then the circle is round. Well, let's go back to the bottom. Here on the bottom, remember we had 1 molecule of G3P leaving the Calvin cycle. Well, this is the most important one, because this molecule is the one that will produce glucose. Like I said also in previous slide, you need 2 molecules of G3P to make 1 glucose. You see here 1 left. This is the one that left. It's now here on the bottom that I just circled. And here is another one. And if I combine both, I get 1 molecule of glucose. But like you can see, every Calvin cycle only produces 1 G3P. So that makes you understand very easily that you have to run the Calvin cycle twice to produce 1 molecule of glucose. Okay? So you need to run twice the Calvin cycle to produce 1 glucose. Okay? Let me summarize quickly what it's all about. The dark reactions or the light independent reactions. So ATP and NADPH from the light reactions here on the top, they enter in the Calvin cycle together with CO2, and this is converted into sugar. Okay, so here in the first step we have the combination of ribulose bisphosphate and CO2. They will form PGA. This PGA is converted into the precursor of glucose in G3P, but in order to do that we have to invest energy, which you can see here. The energy invested 6 ATPs and 6 NADPH. I have here still 18 carbon in total. One molecule of G3P is leaving the cycle, so these are 3 carbons that are leaving the cycle. Okay, they leave the cycle, and I stay with 15 carbons. These 15 carbons, they are recycled to become ribulose bisphosphate again. For this we have to invest ATP, and here the 3 carbons that left the Calvin cycle, they are the building blocks for sugar. As you know, glucose has 6 carbons, so that means I need 2 molecules, 1 and 2 molecules of G3P in order to make 1 molecule of glucose, which we have here, and that's how the Calvin cycle works. Okay, with this I will finish this video, and I will still add in the end of this video the animation from the book that explains you with the animation how the photosynthesis works and how the light reaction, the dark reaction, the whole thing complete. You can review it after this slide.
Plants provide us with food to eat and oxygen to breathe. They perform this amazing feat by the process of photosynthesis. Let's take a closer look. Photosynthesis requires carbon dioxide, which diffuses into the leaf through small pores and then enters the cells. Inside the cell, carbon dioxide diffuses into the chloroplasts, where photosynthesis takes place. Chloroplasts use energy from light to transform carbon dioxide and water into sugar and oxygen. Zooming into a chloroplast, we see these flattened membranous sacs called thylakoids. Here, light energy is converted to chemical energy in the first phase of photosynthesis, the light reactions. The 2 green structures you see here are photosystems, large complexes of proteins and chlorophyll that capture light energy. An electron transport chain connects the 2 photosystems. Notice the small mobile electron carriers that shuttle electrons from one large complex to another. Now let's take a closer look at the steps of the light reactions. The photosystem on the left absorbs light energy, exciting electrons that enter the electron transport chain. Electrons are replaced with electrons stripped from water, creating oxygen as a byproduct. The energized electrons flow down the electron transport chain, releasing energy that is used to pump hydrogen ions, the blue balls, into the thylakoid. In the photosystem on the right, light energy excites electrons, and this time the electrons are captured by an electron carrier molecule, NADPH. The high concentration of hydrogen ions inside the thylakoid powers ATP synthase, producing ATPs. The light reactions in the thylakoid have produced 2 energy products, ATP and NADPH, that will now power the production of sugar in the Calvin cycle. The Calvin cycle takes place outside the thylakoids in the stroma, the thick fluid of the chloroplast. At the beginning of the cycle, carbon dioxide molecules combine with molecules called RUBP. The resulting molecules go through a series of reactions powered by ATP and NADPH from the light reactions. Sugar molecules known as G3Ps are produced. Most of the G3Ps are rearranged back into RUBPs that will begin the Calvin cycle again. But the important product of photosynthesis is the remaining G3P sugar. Some G3Ps are used to build glucose, which can combine into starch or cellulose. Still other G3Ps form sucrose. And some of the sugar is broken down by cellular respiration using oxygen in the plant's own mitochondria, generating ATPs that can power other work of the plant. Excess oxygen diffuses out of the leaf through the pores, while more carbon dioxide enters. With 3 simple ingredients, carbon dioxide, water, and light, plants produce sugar and oxygen by photosynthesis, powering plant metabolism and ultimately providing your fuel as well.